pick Echo plus Pantheon. That's what this means.
That does often indicate that. The Ash ban from Jomung, though, I think is a very crucial one. You can see 380 carry bans away from WE. So RNG right now, they can just first pick this Ezreal.
Yep, you'd expect RNG to go. Ooh, actually, this is something RNG have played and something they liked a lot in spring. Haven't picked it this split, but we remember this was the RNG pick in spring. I remember fans were hating it, but RNG kept doing it. So now you have your choices, WE. You can go towards the Ezreal and play from that range, or you could even go with something like a Kai'Sa, which, you know, we have seen Jomung on also in spring. Not in summer, but...
I'm not going to lie, I hate it. I don't know why you wouldn't just pick the Ezreal here. I feel like Ezreal is just straight up stronger than Senna.
I don't like Senna either. I don't feel like we've even seen it have a lot of success in the LPL. It also typically sets you up for either one of two things, playing around your soul lanes or trying to pair it with a bruiser like we see the Wukong and trying to turn that into a big unstoppable force?
I mean, we'll have to see. Like, I'm willing to be proven wrong. I'm willing for Betty to pilot this center and show me what's up here. But we mentioned the power picks that can come through when you ban everything away in the mid lane. We've got Graves for Beisheng. He's a carry jungler, so could definitely be set up for success. And Morgan, he gets his ultimate comfort pick.
Yeah, so W with a very good and I'd say standard first rotation. They didn't need to pick 80 carry. They can take that on 3. And RNG already building a comp that is going to want to play around snowballing, want to play more around tempo. And guess what? If you wanted to have a soul lane to highlight with that Senna ultimate, Renekton feels like a good one to have.
That is for sure. And we have to mention this jungle matchup as well. This Nidalee into Graves is something we're seeing more and more, and it feels like it's pretty heavily Nidalee favored.
Well, we're constantly seeing the Nidalee being able to get ahead in clear speed and tempo, and we're always seeing it go and play through its priority lanes. I remember me and you casted the series the other day. It was LNG Vici, where Lilian was just giving us a master class on, hey, your comp doesn't need to have a holistic identity. Just draft a bunch of winning lanes and play through the strength of Nidalee.
So we do have this Ezreal locked in, so we could opt to see RNG banning away things like the Yuumi, but it's important to mention that Missing doesn't really play the Yuumi very much. When you look at his champion pool, it's all about these champions that can find picks, that can find hooks. RNG still going to respect the potential Yuumi, though, and ban it away.
I would, like you were just saying, I'd expect Missing to go towards something, whether it is like a Nautilus or a Set. They can just wait till last pick. I'd like to see them go with that counter pick support for the reason that this is WE. We don't really expect them to leave that counter pick for mid. Of course, another champion that's still open that would be extremely strong in this composition is Syndra. And we saw Teachama play Syndra in playoffs.
That was kind of the fallback, right, for Teachama. In playoffs, we saw a lot of teams just deciding, hey, 5 bans straight at Teachama, let's test his champion pool. And Syndra was the pick that came out for him to answer that strategy. And it looked good.
Yeah, and it's a champion that doesn't have any bad matchups. And when we talked about how Xiaolongbao wants to play around his mid-priority and really go abuse the enemy jungler, if you get something like a Syndra that's extremely strong, can just clear the wave instantly, it would be really nice to see you. Ooh, that is actually another champion that does the exact same thing. Of course, this is a flex, which is the most exciting part, so we don't know where this is going to go yet, and gives W a lot of options with how they could go forward in draft.
It certainly does. Could go to Teachama in the mid lane, but we could easily see Missing bringing that alongside the Ezreal, maybe go for the Ardent Center, set Jomung up to carry the team. But now RNG, oh, we could see them being the ones to grab a Pantheon.
I just hope we don't go back to spring where it is Betty playing this.
We could see Betty playing this.
For anyone who doesn't know, in spring we did see RNG do this same bot lane, but it was Betty on the Pantheon and Ming on the Senna, and it did not work out.
It didn't, and I think that's what we're going to see as the Syndra is taken here. So, but hey, I like the creative drafting, because they're like, look, let's just take all of his mid laners and lock one of them in for our bottom lane. But Rumble's still up, so Teachama's fine.
Yeah, and I actually would have even liked how they just sent the Karma mid and maybe picked a more defensive bot lane that isn't going to end up getting killed to the Pantheon. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just seeing where they have the champions. Like, wait.
Defensive picks? WE? I don't think so, buddy.
I was actually looking at the fact that they swapped Pantheon up top first. I'm like, wait. Are we going to see some real shenanigans? But, hey, it's Senna.
Hey, look, we have Ming on Pantheon right now. We're going to see some real shenanigans. Like, whether you like it or not, that's what's happening.
But overall, on the side of RNG, they do have this more snowbally get ahead and close that lead out in 25-minute style composition, which is where we said they excel. They have global pressure coming from their bot lane, so we want to see them play heavily through top and mid. And even Syndra going to have some pressure on this Rumble, so Xiaolongbao is going to have a lot of room to play with.
Xiaolongbao will have a lot of room, and that's exactly what we expect from RNG, right? We said earlier, Xiaolongbao is the guy that sets RNG up for success. On the other side of the board, It's going to be Bayshot on this Graves that has to try and match up against the clear speed, the power farming from Nidalee.
It's going to be tough, too, because so we expect his top side to lose. We expect mid lane to get pushed in early on. Won't be until 6 where you have some semblance of threat on the Syndra always there by being able to drop your ultimate. In bot lane, I expect their bot lane to be able to win. They have a Karma, so they should just be able to mindlessly clear waves with Mantra Q. But at the same time, you do always have the threat of Ming all-inning you, and you are 2 squishy champions. So this game's going to be tough for Beishang, but at least we know W going back towards this heavy 5v5, big AoE ultimate type composition.
You can see RNG there looking menacing
that
as
was
we
intense,
get onto Summoner's Rift. I'm scared, and I'm sure WE fans everywhere are scared, because you've just... Lyric, I feel like you've just gone through the lanes there and told me that RNG is going to win every single one of them.
Not bot lane, potentially.
Potentially.
Hey, again.
I don't know, there's a Pantheon there. I'm
There's
scared of Pantheon.
That's what I'm afraid of, too, because...
The Mantheon.
Yeah, he also has, again, we know what Ming's going to try to do, right? He's going to try to find some sort of early flash play onto Missing or Jomung and secure that kill. We could even see Xiaolongbao get in this lane early, right? You have a point-and-click stun coming from the Pantheon, so maybe can set up an early spear coming out from Xiaolongbao, but we've already said it in draft, but just very easy to understand identities. Snowballing on the side of RNG. They have a lot of global pressure, especially towards top side from their bot lane. And WE all about the 5v5 team fights.
And you know what? We don't have things like the Ashe on the side of WE here today, but we do still have that same identity that they're going to want to find that one fight that gives them the game, right? They're wanting to find that individual moment that sets WE up to win the rest of the match. We'll see if that's something that can come to pass. Interesting to mention as well, Betty bringing Glacial Augment on the center, not going to that grass build with the Frozen Mallet that we've seen more recently.
We actually have been seeing players go back to the Glacial build, which, so the grass was a bit of a flash in the pan. It does feel better, especially build-wise, when you go towards the Glacial, since you can like easily build those lethality items very early on. Gives you very nice back timings.
Betty is having a hard time in this lane already. And I mean, this is the big thing that Karma brings to the bottom lane, right? You have so much poke from this Ezreal-Karma duo. They need to try and get Ming low. That's the key thing. Stop him being able to just all in.
Exactly. That's going to be very crucial to see. And going back to keeping RNG's bot lane low, you know, Grass was seen as a rune that could minimize the laning difficulty on Senna, but I guess especially when you're trying to snowball this game really fast and play around your mid and top side, this kind of makes sense. Betty goes for this build, and like you already pointed out, we're going to need to see a lot from RNG's bot lane to survive this slaughter from the poke.
Good amount of poke damage coming through. Obviously, they are against the Senna, so there's a good amount of mitigation on the poke, but Xiaolongbao, he's not interested in the lane lasting long enough for poke here because he wants to make something happen at the level 3 mark.
Flash W, Munchables.
Oh, in he goes. Ming to start this one off. The root is there, and first blood already for Xiaolongbao.
And that was the combo we expected to see. You have a point-and-click stun, setting up easily for the spear. Even Betty hitting the snare is nice as well. And now guess what? You can start the snowball early on. Ooh. There's going to be nothing happening here. Krine also has Phaedra, so very safe, but I feel like the point where this game's really going to explode is obviously that level 6 mark. That's when we're going to start seeing a Ming go around the map, and then Betty also following up with his ultimate as well.
Morgan losing out a trade in the top side there to the Renekton, but yeah, definitely looking towards that level 6 mark. And one thing that is important to mention is these top laners when we get to level 6, because Morgan, his kind of calling card has been teleporting to help the team make plays around the map. And typically, is quite selfless with those teleports. We've got another fight in the bottom lane. Ignite used onto Missing. He's got no summoners. And RNG winning out. But Betty goes down. Jomung in a 1v1. But that's a Pantheon. You don't get to 1v1 Pantheon. Dodges the spear though. Yes, he does. Jomung pulls it out of the bag. Now trying to get away. Crying. Can't find a stun. Yes, he can. Gets the kill for himself with an auto.
Overall, nice to see, but that was nice from Jomung getting into the brush, and obviously Ming doesn't have flash anymore. They had no vision in the brush either, but I guess it wouldn't have mattered. You're a ranged champion, Pantheon's a melee champion. He was dead regardless. Great from Crying to come in and secure the kill as well, but does end up losing a bit of CS in the mid lane because of it.
So, We've already got a bit of action on our hands. We were expected to wait till level 6, but Ming says, nah, we're fighting right now.
Yep, Ming all-ins, which forces Betty to use the heal. Not in a really awkward position, not having anything to block out on any of the Ezreal skill shots anyway, but it does look like he just killed him with autos. And now Ming has nothing, can't get on top of Jomung regardless whether he had vision or not. And Crying just able to finish it off with a nice combo.
Good damage out of Jomung at the end to try and find an opportunity to turn things around, had the stun miss, but ultimately, it is WE that come. Well, I guess it's even on the trade. Ultimately, Cryan uses that teleport, though, so Teachmar at least had a moment of safety in that mid lane just to get a couple of waves.
And now that he bought the null magic mantle, is that what the small one's called? There we go. That's what the small one's called.
Nice.
Not a Negatron cloak, but he's actually going to be pretty fine in this 1v1. Cryan won't have too much threat on him even when he does hit the level 6 point, also with the shield coming out from your W, and especially with the fact that he took heal, so going with like the safest possible options in this matchup.
Not that surprising from Teachmar, realistically. We already talked about this in depth, how Teachmar is the kind of guy that wants to... Hang on. Forget Teachmar. We've got to play on the bottom side.
It's going to be much harder to execute this without that flash.
Not if Missing just walks into them, though. Because
God.
He's gone down again. Missing ain't looking good without a hook.
That was not supposed to be the play, Munch. They have no flash. You have no way of getting onto you since you know they're there.
He almost did it to prove you wrong. You were like, they can't get onto Missing right now. He's like, oh, yeah? I'm going to walk into them.
Oh, yeah, random English-speaking man.
I'm sure he's tuning into the stream.
We've talked many times. They're definitely listening to us.
There's no way there's not. I don't see any world where Riot doesn't allow them to currently watch the English commentators mid-game. Maybe not. Dragon going to go the way of RNG here.
And let's be honest, RNG get that Dragon completely just based off of Missing's mistake. They would have had some windows to start playing around this kill threat from RNG and not go down, but Ming's flash is going to be up pretty soon, so they will be able to look for a repeat play, and obviously flash stun into Spear, pretty much a guaranteed play.
Missing's flash will come up at the same time as well, so the only downside is you can't flash the W from Pantheon.
Yeah.
He's going to stun you, whether you like it or not. It's just whether or not you can avoid some of the follow-up.
That's a very menacing laugh.
Evil Graves recall. He doesn't even look like Graves, honestly. Looks like Jace.
I don't know. We only saw his back, so...
I've seen the front of the skin as well before.
Well, I have not.
Well, there'll be plenty of opportunities, don't you worry, Lyric. We've got a whole game ahead of us. Aren't we lucky? I don't even know the name of that skin, honestly, but Jomung's in trouble. Jumps away with the Arcane Shift. And just anticipate this for the entire lane. Now in goes Ming. Forces the cleanse. Missing will be able to find a route. No, doesn't even get it onto Ming there. It's Betty to find a route instead. Spears coming down.
You know,
how is Karma Ezreal being outpoked?
Well, that's the thing. It's kind of funny to see. This is a bit of a poke lane in itself with Senna Pantheon. Ooh. Betty getting low. Going to heal himself up by healing up Ming.
Jomung doesn't have any mana, though. See Jomung move down, but it's a little bit late on the play.
It's always a bit awkward having a Rumble in your composition where you don't actually have like a ton of CC, right? You don't have like an Ashe or any engaged support at Jarvan, nothing to really set up your ultimate. It's really only on Morgan. So that's why W's composition doesn't really do a lot unless it's grouped up as 5. I guess a topside 3v3 is something that could possibly come out as well.
One thing that they are exceptionally good at is chasing you down. If they can get RNG on the run, the amount of slows that are going to come out from this team, the amount of follow-up is pretty insane. Beishun could be in trouble here, though. Scatter the weak lines. There's a spear. The flash forwards. Look at the coordination out of RNG.
And I guess this shows us why Cryan is starting here in this game. So decisive with that flash. You already said the coordination as well. Picking up that kill, and we said RNG need a snowball. We wanted it to be through bot and then transfer that to mid. That's exactly what they've been doing.
Yeah, this is beautiful to see as well. We asked which version of RNG was going to show up today. Apparently, it is the one with a playbook in hand. Cryan stepping into the roster, and as you rightly say, showing that he knows how to make an impact in a game. Morgan going to use the ult just to try and clear the wave. I think he's a little worried that the rest of RNG is moving up.
You know, this does come down to RNG, like a big positive and negative as well, though, because we've talked about this a lot off broadcast. It's why I rate RNG super highly and predict them in a lot of series where maybe a lot of people would disagree, but like this one and against FPX this weekend. But they're so reliant and really heavily play through player skill. A lot of their drafts are just heavy snowballing drafts, and it is when they look their best. They're not a very consistently systematic team in the way they play.
I will say, though, they've currently got WE at a gold deficit, which is when WE are at their strongest.
Okay, guys, statistically, WE have a 56% chance of winning this game.
Well, we're not at the 15-minute mark yet.
True.
So it's arguably lower than that right now.
I do want to say, though, obviously higher than 50% I feel is quite promising if you are a WE fan listening in.
That is for sure.
It's a bit better than a coin flip. Let's go. It's a bit of a rigged coin.
Look, over a period of 16 series, you take the 55%. That's good odds right there.
It's 56% if you round up, Joe.
Well, I was rounding down. Lyric.
Oh God, we're not
Jordan.
Personable.
I don't know which name to use. Bear milk tea.
Oh God, that's still not a story for today. We're saving that story for like years down the line.
Oh, okay, we'll see. If you're not careful, I'm gonna tell your story for you.
But
I would.
Going back to the game, RNG once again have options if they want to look for a kill on bots, since they do have the flash W up from Ming. But they also can play around mid or top because we have the globals coming out from Pantheon and Senna.
Ming takes a hit there, but so far this bottom lane has been all about RNG. They've had complete control, but it is important to mention that in terms of CS, Jomung has been fine. He's not falling behind in the bottom side right now comparatively to his lane opponent. But there is still a while until Jomung realistically is going to do much around the map. Ezreal is going to spike very hard on the 2 items, but doesn't really have much of an impact on the game prior to that. Standard
Morgan play, gives up some waves top, walks straight down bot, so they want this 5v5.
They might not get a 5v5 though, because Beisheng is rooted in a Dawning Shadow to finish it. Ming with the kill credit, and now collapsing onto the rest of WE. Jomung able to get over the wall. Missing safe as he wasn't the target here. And I don't think WE are realistically going to keep this contest.
I'm just going to say, that sucks. We saw Morgan walking straight down from top. Things were looking good for WE. It's like, okay, Morgan doing a great job of what he always did in spring. Just like, hey, what's more important right now? Losing a bit on top side if we can win out in a huge way on bot side. Well, Beisheng goes down. You just lost a ton of plates, lost a ton of gold and EXP. RNG.
The amount of plates that they got topside as well, I wasn't sure if they dropped a Herald there. They didn't. Herald is still on Xiaolongbao.
Flash W coming out from Pantheon, chained up with all of this burst coming out from Xiaolongbao. Great ult from Betty to follow it up as well. And watching compositions like this is always so fun to see. And again, now they still have options. This isn't a comp that needs to wait for neutrals. Now you still have Ming's ultimate up. You can have Ming and Xiaolongbao hover towards either side. Ult in, secure another kill.
This is a really phenomenal start coming out from RNG at this point. Huge lead in the top side despite the lack of kills, but massive lead in the mid lane, in the bottom lane as well. And WE already finding themselves in a difficult position. 3,000 gold down at the 13-minute mark, and Xiaolongbao looking to snowball that even further. They have insane pick potential, as we've already seen on this team. They're looking for more plays.
And realistically, I'm hard-pressed to find options that WE actually have. They can try to gank top, have Teacher Mount hover over, and, you know, they have the CC set up on the top side. Their only other play would be just minimizing damage on their bot lane, but there isn't actually a proactive play they can make without RNG overstepping.
It's a difficult situation, but ultimately, we have seen inconsistency from RNG this split, so it's still very possible. I mean, we just saw in the last game we cast today that early leads can be thrown, and this is the LPL. There's plenty of opportunity. WE have found ways back into games before. I think the key difference between this game and those other games where WE came back is lack of agency on the composition, right? It's not as easy to just force a play when you don't have something like the Ash Arrow to find a pick.
Exactly, and the only thing you can really rely on is once RNG are on something like a Dragon,
Morgan is doing a good job to keep New in the fight here as his jungler is going to arrive, dodging the ulti, but it's not quite enough. Beisheng finds himself the kill.
Glad to see WE notice pretty much the only place they have the agency you were talking about to make a play. So they do find a kill onto New. It's going to buy them a bit of time. Not going to really equate into any form of an objective or map pressure, but just nice to find a bit of gold to stop the bleeding.
Beisheng CSing with the collateral damage. Hey, maybe heading back to base in a very evil, menacing manner. Why not ult on the way back out?
That skin is intense.
Look at the plates, though. That's intense, Lyric, because 1,120 gold against 0.
Munchables, I wasn't lying to you when I said this comp has a bunch of winning lanes, have a ton of kill pressure, and need to snowball. It was the truth.
I believed you. I just didn't believe whether or not RNG would be able to force the issue on that. But hey, when we talked about Xiaolongbao, we did say this is a guy that wants to play through his lanes, find success that way. This is the perfect composition to do exactly that.
It is. It's really, really fun to see. And especially the other day on Cast when Vici drafted something similar, I'd say this is much more indexed into one area, which I prefer, to where we saw Vici do it with like a Kale on the top side and had some weird scaling elements. But I was skeptical. But after that performance and now seeing it here again today, but more cohesive, big fan of drafts like this. And maybe it's something that, you know, globally some other audiences wouldn't be a fan of. Maybe would use words like sinner and things along those lines. But here in the LPL, these compositions are fun.
They certainly are, and we'll see if this kind of thing is going to catch on elsewhere. I think the key thing, though, is it does rely on being able to punish the enemy in early laning phases, which quite often we see other regions erring away from fighting throughout the laning phase.
Also, apparently Nidalee does not have the same success in NALCS that it does here. I think I saw it had no wins.
Really?
Yeah.
Has it been played?
Yes, I think it was played like, when I looked at the stat, it was 4 or 5 games with no
really?
wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here in the LPL, when you pick Nidalee, you see big snowballs.
One thing we do have to talk about with Nidalee, though, is it does kind of rely on the team as well. Like, you have to have winning lanes. You have to be able to get into the enemy jungle for this Nidalee pick to really succeed.
Oh, I agree. I think it's a very... It changes the whole style that your team needs to play. As,
nice knock-up, I guess.
It also changes the whole style your composition plays when you're only engaged as an Ornn and he has no call the Forge guy.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what that was. Morgan, you're my favorite player, but that wasn't it, Chief. WE now just get a recall or move back to their own lanes once again. And RNG are like, hey, WE don't have an Ornn ult. Sure, we'll take a dragon. Sole point, thank you.
Exactly, that is, that's what's going to happen. And they have a lot of good ultimates, so, you know, Cloud Drake feeling good. Once again, RNG's bot lane still has their global ultimates open. They can make any play on the map. Of course, there aren't actually that many neutrals still available, so my guess and what we will see and what they probably should do is push out these side lanes, have WE send 1 or 2 members to go answer, and then try to 5-man mid with, you know, the Pantheon ultimate Senna as well, and try to secure that mid lane turret.
Ming looking OP so far this game.
They also still have Rift Herald. Got a lot of options, Munch.
They do have a lot of options. We'll just see which option they are going to take. Let's bear in mind as well, it's not like we keep talking about how they need to snowball in the early game. It's not like their composition falls off particularly quickly. You've got this Senna that's going for the Black Cleaver build, so we'll scale exceptionally well. A Syndra, I mean, there is no weak point in the game for Syndra.
They always have burst, right? So as long as, whether it's by denying vision or finding a pick in transit, because they also have globals, they can just kill a member like Teacher Mahjong. Pretty much all of WE is squishy rather than Morgan.
It feels like RNG are playing pretty much a WE composition. Like, in the way that they can just brutally force a pick anywhere on the map if someone steps out of position.
In that sense, yes. You know, yes. Yes, they are.
Did you just give up on arguing?
I did. I didn't want to insult you.
Look, there's a Pantheon. And that's
there we go.
That's good enough for me, Lyric.
That's the big win.
We take those.
We see Pantheon, we say it's a WE composition.
Yeah. I mean, there's Renekton as well. Morgan likes Renekton.
There's
Either way.
Also a Nidalee, which Beisheng has not played yet this split, but has played it in his career.
I feel like we're reaching at this point just to justify my dumb statement. Morgan is in a little bit of trouble here. And this is what I was talking about. Ming's going to arrive on the bottom side of the map. No way out here as Ming finds himself his second kill of the game on the Mantheon. And they've got a Herald to keep this play going with.
Yeah, they're not even going to open up the mid lane of the map. They're just saying, hey, we're going to go for this play on side, get this down. And it's going to be an easy turret for them. They now can turn and pressure mid off next wave. They also obviously have poke elements to their comp, like we saw in the bot lane, as well as in Italy. So going to be able to get some damage down here.
Easy peasy, squeeze that lemon, as they say.
That is not what they say, but...
Well, that's what I say. They're going into the mid lane, though, Lyric. And they're not actually going to be able to finish this one off. They're deciding against
there's nothing that can happen right now. At this point in the game, it's really going to be about playing around the global with Ming, or really any point-and-click CC and punishing WE's overstep, or if you do have a flash / are willing to make some kind of bold play, that's when you really can find these kills.
We are seeing a very calculated game here from RNG. Like, I like that they are not just trying to brute force anything. Like, if the opportunity isn't there, they're not just going to try and make it happen regardless. They are waiting for those correct opportunities.
Exactly, and people might hear like words like snowball, early game comps, and think like, hey, you just need to play, exactly, play mindlessly and fight. But when you have the tools that RNG's comp does, there's a very systematic way you can play out this game through your globals. I thought
that was going to be a pro view of him landing the spear then for a second.
Oh, so they know. And even nice heal by Ming by Betty at the end. Comes in, presses W, all in a day's work.
I love Pantheon. He was so much fun to play.
I love Pantheon support, and it's something that, for all you viewers out there, a lot of LPL players are actually spamming this and have been spamming it for like 2 weeks. It's in all of my notes. Like, hey, this player's playing Pantheon. Like, be on the lookout for Pantheon. Then none of them pick it.
Is it just alongside Senna?
No.
Or?
I see with Kaisa a lot, too, which also sounds kind of fun in a way. In lane, it sounds weird. But later in a team fight, Pantheon and Kaisa dive into your backline.
Yeah, dive buddies. We could see WE picking that kind of thing up. I could easily see WE play that kind of style. Oh, my days.
God, we missed
when did that happen?
I know, that was beautiful.
That is terrifying.
This also comes down to, I was thinking about it yesterday, and how many good junglers. I'm going to pause on talking about good junglers because we have new collapsing from the side.
We certainly do, but he's not going to find a way in just yet. Beisheng hops over the wall, going to clear some vision here. We've got a Drake spawn in 15 seconds. This will be solved for RNG if they're able to get it. Granted, it's only Cloud, not the end of the world. That WE lose it.
That man drop definitely available for Ming, though.
Certainly, they'd like to get this soul. WE would like to deny.
Ults to actually get even to the fight at all.
WE need a combination between Ornn and Rumble right here. They need to line those ults up, but keep your eyes on Nu, who's going to try and get onto the backline. Beisheng desperately trying to burst this dragon down, but it resets in the middle of the fight. Now everybody going ham for this one as Morgan trying to protect the jungler. Jomung still surviving. Beisheng got the dragon, and now they're looking for the fight as well. Shalabao already went down, and Ming is stuck in the back of the pit. RNG going to try and collapse onto Beisheng here. Ming knocked up, but keeps himself alive with his shield. Now Nu jumps into the fray. He's tanky. He's the big Renekton, and he's tearing them apart. Betty keeps him alive, supporting him on the AD carry, and RNG come out on top.
And Nu, a top laner we had no expectations for coming into the split, already having such a good start, now bringing this fight back, evening it out for RNG.
So damn close in that fight. And RNG, they do find the extra kills on the end of the fight, but ultimately, WE managed to get that dragon.
And this highlights two things for me. One, RNG's setup was all wrong, came out really late. Here we see Shalabao trying to go for the smite, but both Beisheng and Morgan just being an annoyance. Beisheng able to be the one to get the smite, and here the fight is a bit all over the place. We see Ming in an awkward place. They do all in him, but Nu still very strong. He obviously did do extremely well in lane. Does go in, comes out with a really nice stun onto Dichima, comes out with a Q onto Jomung, crying, flashing forward aggressively, and Betty also in the wings, putting out damage that whole time.
Felt like Jomung panicked a little bit during that fight as well. I don't think he needed to E aggressively at Ming. Had he had that available, maybe he can survive the all-in from Nu that comes out at that point.
I agree, but still going back to the start of that fight, it still feels like it was a mistake by RNG. Ming backed so late, and even New's push in the bot lane. He pushed pretty much almost all the way up to the inhibitor turret where had he backed off, let's say like a wave sooner, gone mid, helped RNG get priority, they probably could have had the vision set up to have a favorable Drake fight. But still, that fight also showed us that when it does come to straight up pure 5v5s, WE are not out of this game. But it's a 6K gold lead. Not going to be that easy.
It's a 6K gold lead, but hey, the clips that we showed at the start of this series were comparable gold leads at comparable points in the game. This is ultimately the strength of WE is the 5v5 when they can work as a unit and team fight. We'll see if they're going to find those opportunities. Because, I mean, you can't pick Morgan anymore. He's got to the on point in the game where he's basically invincible.
And you do not have the composition that kills tanks.
No.
Even
with your 2 black cleavers, he's still 3 black cleavers, in fact. They only stack 1 time. Xiaolong Bao's been found! See you later, Xiaolong Bao. He's gone.
And we didn't even see how he ended up here. But at the same time, this goes back to what we were talking about before the game, to where RNG pretty much Xiaolong Bao giveth, Xiaolong Bao taketh away.
He certainly did take it away just there. Or he had it taken away from him,
yes,
forcefully, by WE. Nice little pick that they're going to find for themselves. There's not a ton that they can do on the map, though. And this has been one of the issues WE have been finding across this whole game. We saw a similar thing up at the top lane when they went for that gank. There was nothing they could find much from it.
If their composition had more engage, they'd probably be able to go straight onto a Baron with something like that. Because Xiaolong Bao is a huge part of RNG's damage. But of course, they had to blow Call of the Forge God to even get the Xiaolong Bao pick. So now you don't really have much to offer.
They actually kind of didn't. Morgan didn't even get an assist.
That's true, yeah.
He actually died before the ult hit. But hey, the thought was there, and it's the thought that counts.
It's the moral support.
Exactly. Friendship and magic, Star Guardians. This is WE we're talking about. Comps that flow with the wind. I'm going to throw some buzzwords at your lyric and see what comes out.
Buzzwords. Let's see. Priority. Rotations.
Exactly. Now we're talking. This is analysis. This is what I'm looking for in my broadcast.
If you want to know how to go get a job as a coach or to sound really smart on Twitter, just use those words. Just insert random player and teams names and throw those words in, and I'm sure some people will listen.
You just got to try it in different orders, see which ones stick, track your interactions. There you go. You've made it in esports. Congratulations.
But going back, we always do have this sort of play from RNG available. Ming push out the side lane, look to man drop in and have a numbers advantage in a team fight. Instead, no. They have the confidence to rush a Baron.
They could just do Baron. That is always an option, I guess. You do have Senna, so you can tank it indefinitely. It's not like, even if it's a slow Baron, you can just tank it forever. Morgan's TP'd into the mid lane because we've got a Drake spawn in 20 seconds. And once again, WE do not want to give up this soul. Let's bear in mind, with how ult-reliant WE are, stacking Cloud Drakes is pretty great for them.
And even denying it from RNG, like even just denying the pure Cloud Drake in and of itself, you have a very ult-reliant composition on the side of RNG.
These ult's really going to dictate the game. Beisheng finds his opportunity to start this Drake off. He knows he's spotted, but he's Graves. He can burn this one down.
RNG need to look for a 5v4 right here.
They're about to. Jomung jumps away for himself, keeps New at arm's length. Teachimar and Morgan surviving as well. This is beautiful from WE. Now they're going to try and force the fight as well. They might bite off more than they can chew, though. Betty's low, trying to chase this one through. Teachimar can't finish off the kill. But Jomung, I love this confidence on the Ezreal.
Confidence in that Teachimar ultimate was amazing, getting Betty solo like you said, and okay, the 56% stat is going up, Munchables.
I don't know, but this is looking great for WE. Beisheng just decided, hey, I'm not doing the dragon anymore. Let's force the fight on this one. Goes back to it now after the fact. They get themselves a tower on top of the dragon.
You know, now I'm feeling a bit dumb where I said, I love comps like this. These Sinner comps not working globally. Ha ha ha. And then, yeah, not working out the best for me here today, Munchables.
No, not working locally either, apparently. Oh dear. It's a bit of a disaster here for RNG. They do still have a 5,000 gold lead, though. Actually, 6,000 gold lead, almost. They've still got 3 Drakes. They just seem to have lost.
They just don't win 5v5.
But why, Louis? Why, like, with this kind of gold lead, surely they can still just brute force.
I don't think it's that easy when, one, WE actually has a big frontliner in the Morgan. We've seen how Morgan takes almost no damage when they hit him. You also have more shields coming out from the Karma herself. You have good kiting on the side of WE, and your only engage on RNG is Flash W from either Nu or Ming. You have no other engage. Or you hit a Scatter the Weak. So you actually have very good tools as WE to bait out the spell rotations of RNG, and their comp is also very cooldown reliant, right? We don't actually have an amazing source of DPS. Senna's obviously getting there, but no one else on RNG.
It's going to be rough, and especially, I mean, we saw Nu during that fight. He tried to get onto Jomung, but Jomung didn't even have to use a summoner. Just completely kited him out, has a ton of armor, has the upgraded gauntlet, now has a death stance.
You also have the speed up coming in from Missing, so actually in this stage of the game, W are pretty well equipped to deal with RNG.
Oh, well, hang on. Jomung could be in trouble, does have cleanse, but is going to be able to get over the wall here. So much CC going onto him, but he's still full health. You cannot kill the Ezreal, and now they turn it back on towards Nu. That's everything used for RNG.
That is literally our whole conversation 1 minute ago.
And you know what? It cost a lot of summoners for the side of WE, but Jomung survived. And that means that WE continue to just stall this out.
So I guess in another 2 minutes, you try to make the play again when all of your ultimates are back up, but also Nu not having the flash this time around, and E plus the Mantra Shield coming in from Missing. You would expect them to both be able to get away once again. And they're at this point, they're still operating their comp right. They're still looking for the correct plays, using Ming's ultimate, trying to find these numbers advantage fights. Just sadly, WE can get away because, you know, there's no engage.
And I'm starting to dislike this Nidalee pick in this situation, where I feel like there isn't that much in the way of setting up for this Nidalee. If you can't get Ming straight onto Jomung, which they're going to continue to struggle to get him on, it's very difficult for Xiaolongbao to actually get on and finish a target.
The problem with, I'll say, Nidalee in this composition as well, is these comps are very, I'll say, momentum-based in the sense that that first Dragon they gave over to WE, that was still in a position where they were completely favored, extremely winnable, and it came off them going with bad understanding of when they should push wave states and also bad recall timings to why they lost that Dragon. Had they been able to keep up that snowball from that point, that's pretty much how these comps work. You can never be set behind. It always needs to be able to move forward. One road bump is actually massive.
Seems to have bumped them off the tracks at this point, as RNG have pretty much stalled out. They are just taking a moment here, waiting for those ults to come back up, but you can see across the left of your screen, the ultimates are available once again for RNG. Dragon going to be spawning in 1 minute and 20 seconds. A Soul certainly could revitalize this squad.
Yeah, and as you've pointed out with the gold, we have the item advantages there for RNG, especially compare Cryan, who's on 4 items, to Teacherma, who's on 2.5. The problem is, will we see Cryan be able to actually hit his abilities? And again, not on any fault of his own, just on the way we've seen Jomung Missing and the rest of WE be able to kite out these team fights.
Jomung's cleanse is still on cooldown right now. There's no Mikhails for Missing. So this is going to be a crucial fight. 45 seconds until that Drake. I think the cleanse might just be available by the time we do get to the skirmish.
I think cleanse will be up. I think cleanse will be up by the time Missing even gets to this fight right here.
I think you might just be right on that one. Nu gonna go and push this wave out in the bottom side. Does have his TP available. WE, we've known them pull the trigger on less, honestly. They're just gonna look for priority in this mid lane. Drake spawning in 20 seconds.
I'm interested to see what WE will... Okay, I'm not, because it's WE. They're going to look for an engage, but even if WE gave up Soul for Baron, I actually don't think it'd be that big of a deal, because WE's comp is just so much stronger at this point in the game.
Also, it's a Cloud Soul. Like, Cloud Soul is not going to win you the game by itself.
But like you said, 4 Clouds on WE's composition, that Rumble ult up off cooldown would be so amazing.
You're going to see multiple equalizers in a fight. Morgan rooted here, but he's not really the target they want to be going on to. And you can see WE just muscling their way forwards. Morgan trying to find a way onto Betty here. But he is starting to get low himself. Shields coming out from Missing, not quite doing enough.
I think Morgan's health bar outlasts RNG's mana bars, though.
Yeah, potentially. Xiaolongbao is getting low on mana here. Dragon going to be started up by Jomung there. Ming jumps over the wall, but he can't really connect onto Teachama. Equalizer to keep RNG in the fight. Good healing, though, coming out from Betty across the line here. Beishang jumps straight onto the Dragon, but he has to back away once more. Jomung's still going strong. The root lands, but there's no follow-up. Now onto the Dragon once again.
Crying.
It's taken by RNG. They get themselves the soul. Beishang flashes away, and they're trying to collapse onto WE. But they just can't close the gap here.
You know what's actually funny? The soul is a bit of a bait in itself. You get the smite, you think, okay, our team can fight, we can go now. It's like, oh wait, we just got Cloud Soul. We're
really fast.
Yeah, we actually we don't really get anything else. But still, ultimately, I did just say smite secured, but Cryin, obviously the one who secured that Dragon. And I guess there isn't too much more you could ask for from RNG. And it's actually nice that they didn't end up going down in a straight up 5v5. But remember back, RNG were throwing out every ability. Morgan was soaking it up, and RNG were out of mana before Morgan was even 30% HP.
I want to see Morgan go for like a Warbox, honestly. Just so he can suck that up, heal
walk
up
away
again,
and like
brush
walk back
and
over.
come back. I don't think we're going to see that today, though. As we do see Jomung just checking the Baron. He knows that RNG can threaten to just start this one up. But importantly now, RNG very much have a window to just close things out if they can get themselves that Elder Drake. That is the ticket for them now, to be able to just straight up 5v5 once more.
Yep, and at the same time, the condition for RNG going forward until that point is not any different. You really have two options. Either one, catch someone out either from some kind of cheesy brush play, denying vision, whether it's in transit or abusing Ming's ultimate. But we've seen that latter way, abusing Ming's ultimate not working. WE every time able to get away.
Yeah, and you thought Morgan was tough to kill before. He's just finished himself a stone plate. So he's a big, beefy boy. And we'll see what he's going to be able to do during these team fights. You've got to keep your eyes on the ultimates for WE. That's crucially how they're going to be able to turn things into a win here.
Call of the Forge God is up, and that's obviously the most crucial of WE's abilities.
Cleanse available here for Jomung as they start this fight off. Morgan goes a little bit wide on his ult. On just the second proc here. They're on to Jomung, but they can't finish him off. Teachama goes down, though. And New still going to be healthy on this one. Morgan trying to tank up for his team, but Jomung just doesn't have the damage to finish any of these kills. New with a stopwatch of perfection right here. Morgan gets out, and it's Jomung to fall instead. Now Beishang desperately running another kill for Cryin as RNG have found their fight.
Mudge, how did this even happen? Even with Morgan's ultimate, you forced out Betty's flash. Things were looking all right for you, and suddenly there's a crocodile and I guess I don't know what an Italy is in the back line.
A cougar.
Okay, there we go.
A croc and a cougar jumping onto the back line. Teachama got destroyed in that fight. Couldn't even use his equalizer. RNG might just win the game.
I actually think they will. 30-second death timers. Teachama, I guess will come at 10, has his ultimate.
They're going to go for this one, missing so low. Beishang, there's nothing he can do about it. And RNG have made it happen. The Croc and the Cougar comp working out in the end. 13-6. Equalizer's not enough. And the game goes to RNG.
Before we move forward, what is the difference between like a cougar and a puma?
The color?
What color is a puma?
Puma's black.